Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of 60-Yard Dash. Usually it's myself and Nick Eubanks, our master digital guy. Tonight, we have a very, very special episode on the heels of a very big announcement from the Game Changer Sports Network. Don't forget, starting literally next week, on Tuesday nights, we have the Whiskey Hour now joining the Game Changer Sports Network family. And when they do, they will lead into our show. But tonight, let's stay on tonight. We have two very talented GCSN team members with us to talk about all of the news that has come out in the NFL today, yesterday, throughout the week. It's going to be a wild episode. We have our good man, Austin, with us tonight. How are you, Austin?
I'm pretty good.
And as usual, he's joined us for the last 2 weeks now. This is week number 3 for him. We have Bryce.
Gang, what's up?
So, we're starting with Leonard Fournette and that entire debacle that happened in Jacksonville. Let's get your thoughts first, Austin.
I think it's just we're reaching the precipice of the worst managed team in NFL history. I actually have a list of players that the Jaguars have drafted in the last 5 years and have lost. I mean, you're talking about guys like Jalen Ramsey, AJ Boye, Yannick Ngakoue recently to the Vikings, which hurts me because I'm a Packers fan. It just summarizes how poorly they're managed.
Bryce, what do you think?
Man, I think the true loser this whole week is Trevor Lawrence because Jaguars are in full tank mode. He's the consensus number 1 pick. So he's going to go to that team who has no real number 1 receiver, now no running back, a trash offensive line. I feel really bad for him, just being honest.
So you're not exactly tank for Trevor. Now, there's a few teams in the running on the tank for Trevor debacle, but so you don't think under any circumstance that DJ Shark can become a number 1 option?
My bad. I forgot about Chark. My bad. Yeah, definitely. Okay, you got Chark, and they did draft. They did. 1 year you forget about him, but they did get Laviska Shenault this year, and he could be a solid number 2. But yeah, it's still a trash offense, and a defense is pretty good.
I actually think Laviska Shenault will end up being the number 1 in Jacksonville.
You think so?
Yeah, he showed a lot in Colorado.
So, now, do you think it's going to happen this year, or do you think it's going to be down the road?
It'll be a few more years, probably 2-3 years, kind of like CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb's going to end up being the number 1 in Dallas. So I think
is that with or without Amari Cooper there, though? Is he going to take Amari Cooper's spot?
I mean, I'm personally not a huge fan of Amari Cooper, so I think a guy that disappears on the road is susceptible to getting his job taken by a rookie.
That's fair.
What about Fournette? How do you guys feel about Fournette? Do you think he's lived up to his first round pick?
No.
I mean,
he was the 4th overall pick, and there's not a chance in hell.
Guys like
this guy was. That's what I was about to say. He was drafted before McCaffrey. How crazy is that?
McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, Aaron Jones. The amount of value that they could have gotten at that position and later in that draft, again, just goes to show how poorly managed Jacksonville actually is.
Can we talk about how great they are at drafting, though?
They are. That's the sad thing. They're excellent at drafting, but they just don't know how to hold on to players.
So we talked about this, I think, 2 or 3 weeks ago. How much of this falls on the Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone? How easy is this to fix?
It's hard to say. I think Doug Marrone could be a good head coach. He obviously got a little bit more than what we anticipated out of Gardner Minshew last year. I mean, nobody was expecting Gardner Minshew to have arguably a better season than Kyler Murray last year.
That's a strong disagreement from me, but
very strong. Yeah, very strong. Very strong.
I mean, I know I'm a huge Kyler Murray fan, but Gardner Minshew definitely, shocked the world.
Austin, are you using a phone?
I am, yeah.
Is there any way for you to tilt it up a little? We keep getting your head cut off.
Yeah.
Word. All right. In no way, shape, or form do I think in any world Gardner Minshew had a better season than Kyler Murray last year. That is a bold take.
I think you're confusing shocked with played better. I mean, he definitely come out of nowhere, but I don't think he had a better season than Murray.
So with that being, go ahead.
Now the thing with Tom Coughlin is that Tom Coughlin single-handedly destroyed the New York Giants. So you add that.
He also built them, though.
He did, but there really wasn't. I mean, how much did he really build? I mean, you had Eli Manning, who was kind of a middle-of-the-road quarterback most of his career. But when you throw a guy like Tom Coughlin into an organization that's struggled in its entirety, like the entirety that it's been an organization that's struggled, it's kind of a recipe for disaster. And it's truly a tragedy that Trevor Lawrence is going to get thrown into that mix, most likely.
I think they need to. I think if they you clear out the whole regime before Trevor Lawrence gets there for sure.
New head coach, new GM.
Get everybody out of there. Anybody that had anything to do with this crap of the last few years.
Start over, start from scratch, and give Trevor Lawrence a fighting chance. In reality, if they wanted to even moderately be okay this year, what they should have done is fired Doug Marrone and gone after Kevin Stefanski.
Yes.
100%. He would have been a great fit in Jacksonville. I think he's going to be a great fit in Cleveland.
Yes.
That's another high-powered offense, but Kevin could have built his own offense in Jacksonville through the draft. And I automatically assume C.J. Henderson is going to be a hit, by the way.
Yeah.
Just the way they draft, I
don't think it was such a big gap between him and Okudah, which, I mean, that's a different subject, but that's just what I think.
They not only got Henderson, but they also drafted Kayvon Chaisson, who was one of my favorite players in the draft. I think he's a freakish athlete, and you're putting him on the opposite side of Josh Allen, who's now getting this, that number one DN spot over Yannick Ngakoue. So Chaisson's going to slide right in and get a lot of playing time.
So just to go back to your comparison on Minshew and Murray.
Oh, no.
Minshew finished last year with 3,271 yards, 21 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Kyler Murray finished with 3,722 yards, 20 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions.
Okay, so they're comparable.
And thank you, Gavin, for the information being fed to me. It's comparing. So the way you're not that far off. Looking at that, Murray had Larry Fitzgerald and Christian Kirk all season. Yep. What did Minshew have?
I mean, Minshew had a Shark and a
D.D.
Westbrook.
He was injured half the year.
Yeah, he was injured half the year. And Leonard Fournette, I believe, had a good year last year.
Yeah, he finally was healthy.
Yeah, he was actually healthy. And
that's his big thing. He just can't stay
Their offensive line wasn't terrible last year. It's not great now. I think they lost a few pieces.
Technical difficulties, everybody. Yeah. Technical difficulties. So with that being said, where do we think Leonard Fournette is going to end up? The easy answer for everybody seems, oh man, we already have the Hunter party starting. The easy answer seems to be always the Patriots. When a player like this that's had this kind of history gets cut anywhere in the league, automatically linked to the Patriots. So let's take the Patriots out of this because their running back situation is already a mess.
Yeah.
They have 3 actual number 2s. No number 1, but 3 number 2s. So where does Leonard Fournette go?
I mean, I don't think it's out of – go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for him to end up with a team like the Chargers. I mean, yeah, they named Austin Eckler their guy, but – I think he's the guy who can benefit from being a split back or having somebody to take reps off. And I could definitely see Leonard Fournette because being more of a power running back, a bigger guy, being a fit in the Chargers offense.
What about you, Bryce? Where do you see him going?
I gotta go with a guy that maybe we're gonna talk about later. I see him going to the Saints with the whole debacle going down there with Alvin Kamara. He's out of town. You signed Fournette real cheap. Good to go.
Oh, Washington is possible, but if Washington's going to make a move for a running back, I think they're going to move for Kamara.
Yeah, they're going to go for the better running back.
Yeah.
They're going to give Dwayne Haskins a fighting chance.
Yep. Going back to the Bears real quick. Something about that doesn't sit well with me. I don't see them going after either running back because they're madly in love with Tariq Cohen, who literally has a juke move that is really just bad.
Yeah.
He jukes, and he only looks good because he's small.
Yeah.
They got David Montgomery as well, who I was a big fan of last year. Yeah. Wasn't all that great, but he's going to be a good running back.
Don't mind my dog in the background, guys.
Yeah, I think Montgomery's expected to miss some time already. Injuries kind of plaguing his career right now. So, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility for the Bears to go after a running back. But what have the Bears really shown us in the last 3 years to show that they make moves to become contenders like that? So I think that's kind of something that they kind of stay away from.
Yeah, the Bears aren't really make a big splash to become a contender.
No.
Like the Khalil Mack move was the biggest splash they've made in probably 10 years.
And I'd argue that they lost that trade.
What?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, you could definitely make an argument, Jake.
I'd argue that they lost that trade. The amount of starters that the Raiders have gotten with those picks.
All right, so we're going to tangent right now. Let's do this. I want to hear this.
I mean, the Raiders went out and they got Josh Jacobs, who's their starting running back. The Bears don't even have a running back half as good as Jacobs. And then they went out and got guys like Damon Arnett.
Abraham, safety.
Yeah, Jonathan Abram. I mean, they've filled out their roster very nicely with the picks that they've gotten from the Khalil Mack trade. And what has Chicago gotten? A very expensive defensive lineman. And don't get me wrong, Khalil Mack is the best pass rusher probably in the league, but he hasn't helped them win any games.
Can I introduce you to a guy named Danielle Hunter?
Yeah, I like Danielle Hunter. I wouldn't say he's the best pass rusher in the league, though.
He is the first modern-day defensive end to get 50 sacks before the age of 25. He is the best in the league.
You lost me there. I would still have to say it's probably Khalil Mack.
I mean, you guys are both looking over that one defensive player of the year a few times, Aaron Donald. You not consider him Aaron Donald? Do you not consider him a pass rusher? We're just going to forget about him?
My problem with Aaron Donald is that I don't like the way the Rams play him. They play him at a defensive end when I think he's much stronger as a nose guard. I mean, if they could move him back into the interior defensive line, I think he'd be unstoppable. But at defensive end, he's just not really.
That's tough. I mean, when you say nose tackle, you're talking like
3-4. Yeah,
you're talking like a one technique. Yes. Yeah. Well, so I mean, I don't think he's heavy enough to do that. He's only like 280.
Yeah,
I think of nose tackle. I think
he's athletic enough to do it.
Something like that.
He's athletic enough to do it.
Going back to Leonard Fournette, Tampa Bay. Now, in order for Tampa Bay to make anything at this point, they're screwed on cap room. They have $1.5 million, so they need to restructure somebody or outright release somebody with no penalties. Or Leonard Fournette takes a league minimum. That's unlikely.
Right.
Unless he's literally just shopping for a ring. I don't see that happening. Which takes Kamara right out of the mix. Kamara, under no circumstances, is going to go to Tampa Bay. I also don't think the Saints would ever trade Alvin Kamara to an in-division competitor.
Absolutely not, especially not somebody with Tom Brady on the roster.
Exactly. So both guys going to Tampa Bay seems extremely unlikely to me. Either one of you disagree?
I don't know, man. I think Fournette would take that opportunity. I mean, he's done fell off of waivers. Nobody wanted to trade for him. He's got to come to reality with himself. He's going to have to take probably a cheaper deal than he's looking for in order to prove that he's still the man. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you go to Tampa Bay, rush for 1,000 yards, win a ring, you're going to get paid next offseason.
Now, are we sure a team like Arizona wouldn't be in the mix?
It's David Johnson there now?
No, David Johnson in Houston now. I mean, you're adding.
It's Kenyon Drake, Chase Fredman.
Yeah, no, if you bring a guy.
Are we talking about for Fournette?
Yeah, we bring a guy like Leonard Fournette in the mix to complement Kenyon Drake. I think, with Cliff Kingsbury, he could find some creative things to do with Leonard Fournette or even Alvin Kamara.
I mean, I think Kamara would be the better fit. They're a spread offense. They got no need for like a power back like Fournette.
So let's move to Kamara. We've been alluding to it this entire time. Let's start with what do we think about that situation?
I think it's crazy. It came out of nowhere. I mean, I got a notification that, he sat out a few practices, and I was thinking, okay, we might have a potential holdout. And then usually when you have a team hold out, or a player hold out, it's like, okay, well, they're probably going to work something out within the next couple of weeks, and they'll pay the man, he'll be fine. That's kind of what's going on with Dalvin Cook and the Vikings right now. Yep. And all of a sudden, I get another notification that says the Saints are actively seeking a trade for Alvin Kamara. They're taking offers. They're listening to trade offers. It's like, well, you're in win now mode, though. I thought the whole thing was, your Super Bowl window is open. I see your Super Bowl window is closed if you take one of your most dynamic players on offense off the field.
So it's definitely out of left field. Like you said, just earlier this week, a little into last week, they were talking. He's not showing up to practice. He's holding out, and then something else had to have happened.
Yeah,
there's no way they go from he's going to hold out. Go ahead.
What I read is he wants McCaffrey money.
Yeah, which isn't happening.
And you can't give McCaffrey money when you got Michael Thomas. McCaffrey is that offense where
how many players come out and say, "I want the top of the chain money," and then talk their way down?
Yeah.
So that's not uncommon.
Yeah, I understand
Alvin Kamara is still a top 5 in the league.
For sure.
We went over. You weren't here for that either, Austin. We went over that.
Oh, I don't know about that one. Top 5 multi-purpose running back, of course. Top 5 pure running back, absolutely not.
Well,
4.7 yards per carry last year.
Nobody else in the NFL is really a pure running back anymore. They're very phased out. Did you just say 1.7?
4.7.
Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't hear that wrong. The problem with this specific scenario is that they're either going to pay him or trade him.
Yep.
There's no in between. He's not going to play this year, and the Drew Brees window has maybe 1 year left.
Exactly.
And it's over.
Well, I think the Saints as an organization, their window is closing. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are going to need contracts soon in New Orleans. And people kind of seem to forget that before Drew Brees, New Orleans was a very poorly ran organization. And Drew Brees kind of was the glue that held it all together. And once that's gone, I think we're going to see a much different Saints team than what we've seen in the last 10 years. I mean, we're going to see guys they're not going to have money to pay, and they're going to let them go because they just can't afford them. Guys like Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, Teron Armstead, guys that are vital to that organization that they're just not going to be able to keep.
So the Saints have $7.8 million in cap room right now, which is, I'm not going to try to count all this. One of the most wild things that I could see, so I just got sent the entire league cap room situation. There are 28 teams over $5 million in cap room right now. So there's only 4 teams that don't have enough cap for even Leonard Fournette.
Right.
I'm looking at this list, and Cleveland Browns still have the most money. New England Patriots have the second most. Washington third. Cowboys are they're on here somewhere. I saw their name. No, they're not. Okay. What about Indianapolis?
I think Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I think there's too many running backs there.
I was gonna say Marlon Mack's not a good option. We proved that last year. He's not that good.
Now it's interesting to me that you brought up Cleveland having money.
Yep.
I mean, if you look at the games of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, they're really not all that different. They're kind of the same kind of running back. Now, what if you moved Kareem Hunt, who's on the I think he's on the 1-year tender this year. You move Kareem Hunt and give him a second or third round pick, and then you bring in a guy like Alvin Kamara to complement what Nick Chubb can do. I mean, you're really giving Baker Mayfield the best offense in the league. You're giving them the best chance to win that division.
So how many the Cleveland Browns were the only team at the time that were willing to take Kareem Hunt.
Right.
Yeah.
So now if you want to try to trade him, you have to find another team that
wants him. I mean,
exactly.
What did he prove last year that we're going to trade him? He barely played last year.
Yeah. But
and Heather asked about the Dallas Cowboys, and yeah, they have $9.9 million in cap room. But have we not heard of Ezekiel Elliott?
Tony Pollard.
Yeah, Tony Pollard. I mean,
they have absolutely no need for a running back in Dallas. They are fine. Go ahead, Austin. You were about to say something.
I lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Nice, love it.
Yeah.
Tony Pollard is also a starter on most other teams at this point.
I seen a couple rumors. I think somebody was talking about it in our Game Changers Discord, talking about Green Bay. And me as a Packers fan, as much as I like Alvin Kamara, there's no room for him. I mean, we have 3 running backs.
I couldn't see Seattle.
What do you think about Seattle?
I could see Seattle for Kamara.
They run a power style offense. I think they stick with Chris Carson.
Pete Carroll's not – so they have $14.5 million in cap room right now. Pete Carroll's not one to brush directly up against the cap room. And at 14.5, there's a good chance that Kamara would put him right there. But Leonard Fournette makes sense going to Seattle, given that cap situation. Welcome, Nick. How are you today?
Very, very, very tied up in a bunch of stuff. So I don't have my notes, but I'm here right now. So
sounds good. I guess, Gavin, given that information, I'll be staying on show, so you'll have to stay back. I see him shaking his head. Beautiful. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. We've talked about the running backs, Leonard Fournette and Alvin Kamara so far. So real quick, just run through what your thoughts on both of them are.
I have a hard time seeing Alvin Kamara going anywhere. I honestly think he's going to be staying in New Orleans.
On a restructured
and then Leonard Fournette, I think they'll probably try to restructure. But here's the thing. They've traded and got rid of so many people that it kind of looks like they're tanking to me.
Absolutely.
For Fournette.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys discussed about that.
Exactly.
But it looks like it looks like I'm gonna go for Lawrence. Can you guys hear me still?
I can't hear.
There you are. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like they're going to go for Trevor Lawrence to me.
I don't disagree with that at all. We have Kamara to Washington.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, I think anybody going to Washington is a bad idea. They are the poorest run. We got a lot of feedback.
Yeah, like a lot of noise.
I can hear myself. Kamara to Washington. First off, anybody going to Washington, that is right now the most poor run organization in all of sports. Not even just football. All of sports. Dan Snyder is a freaking idiot. Yeah. Yeah, we're always fighting.
They don't even have a name.
No. So the story behind them not having a name is the most ridiculous thing ever. Have you heard it?
No, I haven't heard it.
So the actual story behind them not having a name is there was I think he's either a lawyer, some random guy in Washington, DC.
The trademark. I did hear that. Yeah, I heard
he
that.
went and trademarked every single possible name or rumored name that the Washington football team was going to use. And apparently they just can't think of a new one. They want one of those that he trademarked. He now owns the trademark, and they can't.
Well, I mean, on that same token, I think you can make a case for any player going to Washington because it's such a talent-starved roster that they're the popular opinion for any good player to hit the market to go there.
In all reality, can anybody name more than 3 players on the Washington football team?
Absolutely, I can.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Austin. I mean, so can I, but that was you guys are supposed to like go with me on this one.
I'm sorry, Jake.
I can't do that, Jake.
I think their defense is actually pretty talented.
I think Haskins to McLaurin is a more dangerous combo than anybody in their secondary together. McLaurin is coming into his own very quickly,
Yes,
way
he is.
quicker than I anticipated.
Yes.
And you still
Like I
can't
said,
disregard Adrian Peterson. I mean, he hit 900 yards last year,
I mean, he's also like 35 now.
but he was behind a terrible offensive line,
Yeah,
and
but
he
I
still
mean-
hit 900 yards.
Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, but I mean, for an older running back, I'm still putting up the numbers that he is. It's pretty impressive.
It is.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And with Darius Juice gone now, either one of these two guys makes a lot of sense, or Adrian Peterson's workload is going to get risen.
Yeah, I could definitely see Fournette to Washington. I just don't think Kamara – if the Kamara gets any chance or say in, where he's going to go, sometimes teams, give you the option of where you want to get traded to. Kamara's not wanting to go to Washington. No one wants to go to Washington. Now, Jacksonville would have no problem dealing Leonard Fournette to Washington. Or I'm sorry, Leonard Fournette getting signed by Washington would be a different story.
What if
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bryce.
I was just gonna say I forgot they took Antonio Gibson last year in the third. So I mean he's got the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. So I don't think they really need Kamara either.
What if the Jacksonville Jaguars make a move for Alvin Kamara to set up for next?
I think that they're tanking too much, getting rid of all of that they've gotten rid of with Ngakoue and
A running back's not going to win you enough games to not tank.
Alvin
And-
Kamara might.
No,
absolutely
he
You
not.
don't think so?
Christian McCaffrey won't even do that. Look at how Carolina did last year. He put that team on his back, and they still didn't do that good.
a thousand.
Yep.
Well, I was about to say, I mean, one game's the difference between Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. I mean, you got some pretty bad teams out there. Cincinnati could still easily compete for that top spot.
Oh,
But-
you think even with Joe Burrow, Cincinnati's
There
going
you
to
go.
Even with Joe Burrow.
They're in no position to draft a quarterback. Joe Burrow's their guy for the next 7 years.
Oh, no, I didn't think
Yeah.
they were drafting a quarterback. Well, now we're talking about having that first overall pick, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you still got Washington who could definitely take a quarterback if
Absolutely.
Dwayne Haskins crapped the bed this year.
Yeah, and that's true. I think Haskins will have a good year this year. But
I also have zero faith in the Jets and Sam Darnold.
no.
Completely
I like Sam
honest.
I
Darnold.
agree with that.
I love
don't.
Sam
Adam
Darnold.
Gase.
I hate the
Adam
organization.
Gase. Yeah, I hate Adam Gase.
It's sad what Washington is right now. It's going to be painful to watch them this year.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be an interest. No matter what, this year is also going to be super interesting because the rookies aren't going to progress anywhere near like rookies in past years.
No.
They're not just going to come on and light the world on fire. It's impossible in COVID era.
No OTAs, no preseason. It's going to be a weird year for sure.
You guys were paying attention more than I was because I was expecting to be backstage. What is the next topic?
The next topic is 5 players or coaches on the hot seat.
All right, so let's get into that because we've already, in just the 2 running backs, we've blown 30 minutes, which is insane. So I guess we'll start with Bryce on this one.
My top spot, I had Baker Mayfield number 1. I think he's under the most pressure going in this year. I think if he has a bad year, especially with that loaded offense, a brand new offensive-minded head coach who can actually coach, not Freddie Kitchens. Freddie Kitchens' offensive coach. He can't coach. I think if he comes out and they do anything less than 9 wins, especially with his off-field problems, Browns are going to start looking in other directions. Yeah, they're going to at least start flirting with the idea of a new quarterback.
Absolutely.
I want a caveat off of that because I had Odell Beckham Jr. on mine.
Yeah.
And Odell, if you're comparing him to Jarvis Landry, both of them got in the league. I have the notes, but I don't have them with me. I'm pretty sure Jarvis Landry is only behind him on touchdowns by a small margin and slightly behind him in yards. but everybody wants to talk about how great of a wide receiver Odell is. Jarvis Landry did better than him last year. So I think this is a good time for him to put up or shut up.
Yeah, they definitely go hand in hand this season.
Yeah.
Don't mind me, guys. I'm literally making my list as we go.
What about you, Austin?
So did you go to your top spot?
Yeah, I went ahead with number 1.
Okay, my number 1 is Adam Gase. I understand that the roster is not there, but his refusal to utilize Le'Veon Bell and stale offense and his failure to develop Sam Darnold, I think he's a coach that we could potentially be seeing fired in midseason.
You guys are killing me. You just took my number 1 and 2 right off the bat. I had Baker and then Sam Darnold and Adam Gase as my number 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you see the Jets start 1-4, by week 6 or 7, we're seeing Adam Gase out of a job.
So OBJ had 74 catches for 1,035 yards and 4 touchdowns last year. And Jarvis Landry had 83 catches for 1,174 yards and 6 touchdowns. So Landry's actually producing more than OBJ right now.
Yeah.
Seemed like a lot of times last year they were forcing the ball to Odell, and just not a good offense.
No, they're not. No, they weren't last year, but they will.
Weren't last year, yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, you guys took my top 2. So who do you guys got at 2?
I had Adam Gase number 2, just to piggyback off what Austin said. I mean, the stars he did have, he's chased off. Le'Veon Bell seems to want out. Jamal Adams is gone. If you can't get along with your stars and you can't win games, you can't develop a quarterback, why do you have a job? I'm like Austin. I mean, I think if they come out the gate and like 1-5 or 0-6, he's gone. He's out. Let somebody else take over. Start over next offseason.
My 2 spot is Derek Carr.
Yeah.
I think, the Raiders have been building. They've gotten draft picks. They just brought in Henry Ruggs. You have Henry Ruggs. You have Josh Jacobs. You have Darren Waller. The offensive line has drastically improved. I like a lot of the guys that they've been bringing in on defense. I mean, just a couple days ago, they brought in inside linebacker. I can't think of his name.
The dude from Raekwon McMillan.
Yes, Raekwon McMillan from the Dolphins. And then you add him to Corey Littleton, and you still have Nick Kwiatkowski from Chicago. That team is actually growing. I mean, they're in a tough division where it's going to be very tough to topple the Chiefs, but they are there. And if Derek Carr can't put it all together, I think John Gruden will have no problem replacing him. And actually in my mock draft, because, I always do my way too early mock draft, my mock draft this year has the Raiders going and getting Trey Lance out of North Dakota State, because I think he's more a quarterback that's going to fit what John Gruden wants the Raiders to be.
So, Derek Carr is definitely, this is do or die season for him no matter what.
Absolutely.
If he has another bad campaign, either he'll be out of a job or on another team next year as a backup.
Yes.
Well, I mean, you say that. He had a good season last year. I mean,
a good season isn't good enough in the end.
No.
100 passer ratings are. I think he's more under more pressure. I don't think John Gruden likes him at all. I don't think he liked him from the time he got there. So I think he's going to have a MVP season to even keep a job.
And he's not going to. He won't.
No. I think, in all reality, with this new playoff system, I think if Oakland can make the playoffs, even as the 3rd wild card, he keeps his job. But he's on the hot seat again next year.
Yeah. And the thing is I don't see Oakland making the playoffs this year. If there's any team that's going to make the playoffs in the AFC West besides the Kansas City Chiefs, it's going to be the Broncos or the Chargers. I think the Broncos are very well equipped now to make a playoff run if Drew Lock is even half good. And I think they beat the Raiders out for that 7th spot.
There's my number 3 right there, just popped up on the screen. It was Carson Wentz.
Yes.
He's
The
hurt again.
amount of pressure on Carson Wentz this year. Now, in reality, we all know he's just going to get hurt again. He's made of
Unfortunately,
glass.
that's probably the key. He's already hurt. I mean,
Yeah, he's already hurt.
he's day to day in practice right now.
Yep.
Unfortunately,
So it's only a matter of time before he's done for the
yeah.
year.
Unfortunately, that Eagles team is nothing but injured. I mean, they've already lost Andre Dillard. I believe they lost a guard. They lost Lane Johnson, the other one. They lose
Peters.
players. I mean, Jalen Rager's already hurt in practice, so that team's just injury riddled. They always have been for the last 5 years, and I think it's very possible around week 7 or 8, if Carson Wentz is battling injuries, we might see a Jalen Hurts takeover.
Interesting, yeah. So who do you guys got at 3?
I got a combo at 3. I had Brady and Belichick at 3.
Okay.
It flip flops. One's got to prove they don't need the other. Yeah, one's got to prove they don't need the other. And Brady in that loaded offense, I think, is under more pressure than Belichick to succeed. Everybody knows New England's not working with anything. They got Cam, maybe.
See, I put Belichick.
Belichick?
Over Tom. I have Belichick at number 5. Not Tom Brady. Bill Belichick at number 5. And I have Bill Belichick over Tom Brady because Tom Brady is still the greatest quarterback of all time. And now he's absolutely freaking loaded, so we know he's going to have a good year. Super Bowl year? Debatable. He's going to have a deep run in the playoffs, though. Maybe a first-round bye with the number 1 seed.
Yeah, especially if the Saints don't have Alvin Kamara.
Exactly. So there's no way Tom Brady has a bad year on this team. That's unrealistic. You can't sell me on that. If you think that's true, I got a boat in Mexico I can sell you. Go ahead, Bryce.
Let me just throw this out here then. Let's say they both go 8-8. Regardless of what you think of Tampa Bay, let's just say injuries, they both go 8-8. Who are you more impressed with? I'm more impressed with Belichick going 8-8.
I would have to agree.
Than Brady going 8-8.
Yeah,
See what I'm saying?
I would be more impressed with Belichick as well.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So that does play out.
But no matter how Belichick does this year, he's going to be scrutinized.
Yes.
Well, I think he could go
12-4 with the number 3 seed. Oh, if Brady doesn't play well, does it tarnish his legacy? He cannot physically tarnish his legacy any more than leaving the Patriots.
No, I don't think so. You had Joe Montana went to Kansas City, Michael Jordan and with the Wizards. People forget about those last few years if they're bad.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Yeah, I don't think if Tampa Bay underperforms or anything like that, I don't see it really being a dent in Brady's legacy. I just think at that point you kind of start to wonder, well, maybe Belichick really was the secret sauce that kind of made the whole thing go.
It's not even Belichick. I'm going to tell you point blank, Belichick isn't the secret sauce.
I don't think so either, but that's what Brady haters are going to say.
It's also not Brady.
Season. Yeah.
It's neither one of them.
Who is it?
The guy that made the second half of that legacy happen was Josh McDaniels.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt about it. The only reason that those last 3 Super Bowls happened was the coordinated effects of Josh McDaniels and Matt Patricia. Those guys don't get enough credit for what they did in the Patriots' legacy.
I'm glad you brought up.
I agree with you. I don't think he's a secret sauce, though. I mean, Belichick didn't win before Brady, and Josh McDaniels didn't win outside of New England. So, I mean, that right there that's Brady's a secret
He also
sauce.
didn't know how to actually build a team. They have a guy for that called Nick, whatever his name is.
But, I mean, he didn't look good outside New England. So, I mean, I can't say Josh McDaniels. I do think it's underrated what he did for the Patriots. I agree with you there.
Absolutely.
But I'm not going to say he's a secret sauce. That's definitely Brady.
I'm glad you brought up Matt Patricia because he's also he's 4th on my list for players or coaches that are on the hot seat. Patricia's in a tough division. I mean, you got to play. You got to out coach Mike Zimmer and Matt Nagy, who I really don't think is that good of a head coach. But then you have Matt LaFleur, who's coming up. And, I mean, Patricia has an arsenal of young, talented players on defense that he's accumulated through drafting. I mean, you just brought in Akuda. They got Duron Harmon from the Patriots. I remember Jake being really upset about that.
I love Duron Harmon. He's always in the right place at the right time to make the perfect play.
And then, I mean, you have that middle linebacker that they drafted a couple years ago. He's pretty good.
They have Flowers?
Yes, Trey Flowers. I mean,
they basically took New England's defense and added a little bit.
And the O-line isn't horrible. You have Matthew Stafford, who is arguably a Hall of Fame quarterback.
There's no argument on it. In this day and age, he's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
And then you have the combined efforts of DeAndre Swift. I forgot their other running back's name.
Kerryon
Johnson. And then you have Kenny Golladay and Marvin Jones. And then you have TJ Hawkinson as well. So I think that team should be good enough to win, 9 games. And I think if they, underperform, they're a 6-7 win team next year. I think Matt Patricia is out.
I actually have a head coach at number 4 too, but I have Pete Carroll. I think he's in the opposite position. He is the top dog in the NFC West for sure. I mean, I can see Arizona being good. I don't think they're pushing for, to win the division. I think San Francisco is going to have
a third playoff at best.
Yeah. I don't think San Francisco is going to – I think they're going to be slow early coming off that Super Bowl loss. And the Rams, I mean, I think the Rams bounce back, but at the same time, I could easily see them being bad. So if Seattle comes out this year and maybe, gets bounced in the first round, I think they clear out that front office and Pete Carroll and bring in somebody. I mean, they run an old-style offense. It's like a 1988 offense.
Yes, it's very.
I mean, you know what I mean? They really don't let Russell Wilson just take over games like he's able to. So I think if they come out this year and win 9-10 games, bounce in the first round, you could see a regime change in Seattle.
I agree. A lot of their offense is Russell Wilson ad-libbing and doing Russell Wilson things, and kind of Pete just handles the defense. They are eventually going to need a coach that can do both.
Yeah.
Can we bring that comment back up? I don't agree with this at all.
No, Bill O'Brien's a good coach. He's a bad GM.
Boom. Yeah. Perfect. Bill O'Brien is probably, I'll say, top 5 to 7 coaches in the league.
For sure.
He is probably bottom 5 to 7 GMs in the league.
Exactly.
He shouldn't be a GM at all.
No, he should not be his own GM.
Yeah, I don't understand why that's a dynamic we still have in the NFL. We've seen time and time again that it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. I mean,
Bill
Belichick does it.
That's it.
And he's made literal wine out of water with players.
That's true.
But other than that, can you name one more coach GM that's really done anything?
No.
It's not, especially in this day and age, in this NFL, it is not possible.
They give one man too much power.
Yeah.
Belichick surrounded himself with a team. Jerry Jones is the greatest GM ever. Yeah. So that's
that one.
That's a GM. There was sarcasm at the end of that. But that was GM and owner, not GM and coach. Also, how many GMs are also the owner? That's another thing that just doesn't happen.
Yeah, that's again another outdated thing.
The Hopkins trade proved how bad of a GM that Bill O'Brien was. Going back to, I want to swing back to the NFC North real quick. And I know you're going to hate me for saying this, but that is Minnesota's division to lose right now.
No.
Don't get me wrong. Kirk Cousins is absolutely going to crap himself in the playoffs again, but it is their division. The Packers are not at the Minnesota Vikings level, and when the Minnesota Vikings whipped them twice this year, unless it's in prime time, if one of those games is in prime time, then I'll give it to the Packers. But if we have 2 random 1 o'clock games on a Sunday for the Vikings and Packers, the Vikings win both those games.
Aaron Rodgers isn't a top 5 QB anymore.
I completely disagree.
Give me your top 5 QBs right now, then.
My top 5 QBs? Mahomes,
going into the 2020 season.
Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah,
I mean, you could put Deshaun in place of Drew Brees. I just think that's kind of disrespectful.
the
But
Vikings have no competition in that division.
they have us. They have the Packers in that division.
The
You have
Packers are going to
what?
win like 9 games. Like they
No.
were a bad 13-3 team last year. They were not a good 13-3
good
team.
13-3 team last year. When you win that many one possession games, it shows that you're a key team that knows how to win. When it matters most.
You're lucky. That's what it shows. Most of those guys win a lot of one possession games, pull back the next year. That's just how it goes.
The things they've been saying about Aaron Rodgers in practice this year, saying that he's looked at film from 2010 and all of a sudden he's lighting it up in practice. I think Aaron Rodgers.
We're getting told that Cam Newton is the second coming of Jesus in New England. You think we're going to believe that?
I know.
We're saying Big Ben is playing like he's in his prime again. I mean, everything's going to come out of camp.
Now, I think that if you look at, Aaron Rodgers has been kind of ridiculed for the last couple of years. Hasn't had 2 great seasons, but they weren't bad by any means.
They weren't elite.
Bringing a guy that his organization, instead of bringing in a guy that could help him, get a more explosive offense, bringing him in a Justin Jefferson or a Jalen Reagor or something like that. They go out and potentially draft his replacement. I mean, I think that sets a fire under his ass, excuse my French, to really make him kind of revert back to MVP form and kind of show the Packers, who's still the man.
I think it shows that his days are numbered regardless. I mean, that's a first-round pick. You're paying a lot of money. Jordan Love.
And you have that 5th year of control, which is very important. Now, don't get me wrong. Green Bay's definitely locked into one of the wild cards, but it is definitely Minnesota's division to lose.
I guess we will find out in 12 days.
Absolutely.
When we visit Minnesota.
Yeah.
Slap them
That's
around.
a season opener.
Slap them around a little bit.
What time is that game at?
I believe it's at 1:00.
So it's a 1:00 game on a Sunday?
I think so.
That's a Kirk Cousins right there. That's prime Kirk Cousins win.
Oh, man.
Matt Stafford has a lot to prove. Is he good to go or done?
He's good
We
to go.
touched upon this a little bit, but no, he's definitely good to go. He's one of the most consistent passers in the NFL.
Absolutely.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And they've now set up that Detroit offense for him to shine.
And they have. But I think kind of the test of a great quarterback is winning when you don't have anything. And he's kind of proven that he can't carry that organization. He's done it a few times. He's run into a few 9-10 seasons. But, I mean, you look at the guys that Tom Brady has worked with or, Russell Wilson has worked with before he got, Metcalf and Lockett. Those guys make players. And Matthew Stafford's never really done that. I don't really see this as a make or break it year for him. I think Detroit's kind of comfortable with him because I think Detroit's comfortable with being mediocre. That's kind of their identity at this point.
The Ford family isn't in football for the money.
Yeah.
The Ford family obviously owns Ford. They're not in football for the money. They're in football because Detroit wanted a football team as a city, and they had the most money in the city.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that, Brett?
All right. You guys got number 5.
My number 5. My number 5 is a combo between Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen.
Quarterback Josh Allen, I assume?
Yes, quarterback Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at what these teams have done, the strides they've taken to surround these young quarterbacks with talent. I mean, the Bills upgraded their offensive line, added running backs, added Stephon Diggs, drafted more on the defense, and they have a very, very sound coaching staff. I think Sean McDermott's one of the most underrated coaches in the league. Everything is kind of – and that's a very winnable division now with New England, no Tom Brady, and the amount of players that they've lost on defense due to COVID or, the lack of receiving core. I think it's a very winnable division. I think if Josh Allen doesn't win that division this year and doesn't carry the team and have a very nice stat-wise season, I think the Bills are going to start questioning if he's really capable. And it's the same goes with Baker Mayfield. Again, if you have all these weapons, you have 2 running backs that could be starters on other teams, 2 tight ends that could be starters on other teams, and you have 2 very elite receivers and an upgraded offensive line. They added 2 tackles. And the defense is not bad at all. And then you have Kevin Stefanski, who's an offensive-minded coach. If neither of these guys can put it together, I mean, both teams are going to start having questions. And like you said earlier, flirting with the idea of other quarterbacks.
I think Josh Allen still got another year, even if he craps.
I was about to say the same thing.
He could be on next year's list, but
I think Josh Allen cemented himself last year as a above average quarterback, and this year he's going to go and cement himself as an elite or just below elite quarterback.
Oh, and I hope so. I like Josh Allen a lot.
Just like I just said about Minnesota, though. This is the Bills' division to lose.
Yes, absolutely.
There's no other competition in that division with New England now out of it. Let's see.
Unless Tua makes an appearance.
I got Jimmy G.
Too soon. Did you say Jimmy G?
Yeah, Jimmy G. I think he's got to earn Kyle Shanahan's trust back. I mean, he really took the ball out of Jimmy G's hand last year in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and you talk about missing that throw to Emmanuel Sanders in the Super Bowl. I think he's got to come out and have not even a great. He's got to show something. He's got to show some sign that he can take over a game, just to get his coach's trust back for sure.
I mean, if you look at one of the games, I think he played against the Packers. He threw the ball 11 times, and they won that game by I think 20 points. So I mean, it kind of goes to show you that Jimmy Garoppolo. You could almost throw any quarterback in that system because they're going to run the ball.
And then he's got to prove that when they need him to throw the ball, he can be there.
He has to prove that he can be the reason that they win games. He's got to be able to get into shootouts and stuff like that. I mean, otherwise, then at the case, you could throw Mitch Trubisky in that system and still have the same outcome.
Yeah.
So what do we think about Mike McCarthy in Dallas on the hot seat?
Already?
I don't think he's already on the hot seat.
How good is that team on paper?
On paper, it's probably the best team in the league.
I think Dak's on that list above McCarthy.
I would agree.
I know you don't like that, Jake. I think he's on that list before McCarthy.
What?
I think if he doesn't have good.
Did you say I don't like Dak?
No, I'm saying I know you like Dak. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I think he comes in, doesn't have a good season. Mike McCarthy's going to be like, all right, you got to give me my own guy. I can't win with this guy. Give me my own guy, and I can win. That's what's going to happen.
I would agree with that. I think Dak would go before McCarthy.
There's no logical sell you can make on me that Dak Prescott leaves Dallas and it be a good idea. Because if you put Dak Prescott, let's say in New England has another 5 Super Bowls waiting for them.
8-8, 9-7.
I don't know about that.
You put Josh McDaniels with a mobile quarterback. It's going to show this year with Cam Newton. I just also think the Patriots are trying to tank for Trevor.
Can Dallas win with Andy Dalton? Absolutely.
Oh, God, yeah. That team – Andy Dalton – first off, Andy Dalton's an underrated quarterback. The guy made the playoffs 7 times. He just never won a playoff game.
I think they
with Marvin Lewis
better with Andy Dalton.
You don't believe in Dak that easy or that much?
I'm not really a big fan of Dak Prescott. I think he's extremely overrated.
Oh, we are going to have conversations about this. And
everybody does, but Jake. Everybody on earth
Jake's the only one that supports Dak.
Dak Prescott is an elite quarterback.
No.
The numbers say it.
Absolutely.
He doesn't have elite money, so his own team don't think that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's because he's asking for $40 million a year. Not everybody's Patrick Mahomes. That's not going to happen.
You just said that he's an elite quarterback. That's elite QB money.
No, Patrick Mahomes is the best in the league. Huge difference.
Thank you, Rich.
Next year there'll be somebody else making $40 million. Yeah, like Lamar Jackson's going to get $40 million.
Yeah, that's still 3 or 4 years away, though.
Yeah, Lamar's not going to pay next year. Unless he wins a playoff game. Hey, if you win a playoff game next year, he might get in his bag next year.
Go ahead and extend
I think it's still going to be a year after that. Doesn't Deshaun Watson still have to get paid?
He does.
Yep.
And then I believe Russell Wilson just re-signed.
Right, yeah, he just signed an extension. Yeah.
So who else is
like
coming?
A 5-year extension.
I mean, then you're going to start getting into like the,
not the rookies. We know like the Kyler Murrays of the world.
Yeah. I mean, other than that, I don't think there's too many guys that are.
I don't think there's anybody in that Baker class outside of Lamar you extend this early. Maybe Josh Allen. Maybe if he wins a playoff game, you can get into those guys. But besides that, like you said, you still got the 5th-year option on most of them if you want to keep.
Yeah.
Give me one second.
I think this whole Dak debacle at the beginning of the offseason and, trickling throughout the rest of the offseason, I think it's the beginning of the end for Dak Prescott in Dallas. I just don't.
Yeah, I think if they're bounced in the first round with 9 or 10 wins, very easy I can see him being out there next season.
More like if they don't win that division.
So real quick, bring up that comment about Dak Prescott. What was Dak's numbers before Cooper?
Oh no.
So let's go through this right now. In 2016, Dak Prescott had 3,667 with 23 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. That's his rookie year, and they went 13-3. In 2017,
before nobody had tape on him.
Say it again?
Nope, that's before anybody had tape on him. Yeah.
So then in 2017, they went 9-7. He had 33, 24 in yardage, 22 and 13. So he regressed. Then we come back in 2018. He goes 10-6 with 3,885, 22 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. And then last year, 4,902 yards with 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. In 4 years, he has passed for almost 16,000 yards and almost 100 touchdowns.
Great quarterbacks play good in big situations, and he doesn't. He's like Kirk Cousins, like you were just talking about. He's going to shrink in a primetime game.
Put up those numbers. Kirk Cousins puts up consistent numbers.
Serviceable numbers, yeah. But look,
we just talked about Matthew Stafford as a Hall of Famer, though.
I didn't agree with you. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
I honestly don't. I think he's.
You got to win big games. The sign of a good quarterback, an elite quarterback, is somebody that can elevate the players around him. And they've had to surround Dak with
prime of the career, Tony Romo or Dak Prescott now?
Prime
Romo.
Tony Romo.
Romo. No doubt. Romo
what did Tony Romo ever win?
Prime Tony Romo. That team is winning the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
What did Tony Romo ever win?
Tony Romo didn't have that kind of talent around him.
Yeah, he never had a team around him.
Yeah, I mean, you got 2 number 1 receivers in. Well, I mean, we'll see this year. We'll see this year.
Who's the second number 1 receiver? Because Amari Cooper is definitely number 1.
I was going to say CeeDee Lamb, but I mean, we got.
Oh, come on! We're calling the rookie number 1 already.
That's why I
said delusional.
That's why I said let's see. But yeah, I think he has the potential to be a number 1, and then you got number 2 in Gallup, who could be number 1 on some teams.
Yeah, Jackson. All right, guys, we are up against the clock. That is all we have for you tonight. I know we didn't get to a couple of things, so either they're going to be outdated by next week or we'll push it back. Dak is freaking elite.
There we go. Dak is not elite.
Dak is an elite quarterback.
Nope.
All right, so, ladies and gentlemen, you saw today we made the announcement. Next Tuesday, September 8th, we are going to have a show leading us into our football talk. It is the Whiskey Hour. We are very excited to have them join our team. They also will be live with the circus monkey himself, who is backstage right now, Gavin, this Sunday. Hi, Gavin. How you doing?
Gavin. Oh.
So this Sunday, we will see and meet the circus monkey. Well, we know him already. My bad. We will see and meet the Whiskey Hour boys themselves live and in the flesh, all 3 of them. I might show up that night too. Who knows? We're going to have fun. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for the Squared Circle Talk. We got a lot to talk about with Brock Lesnar and Mauro Ranallo. both leaving the WWE for various reasons. We're going to do the lead up to AEW All Out this Saturday. I don't know what else we're talking about. And then on Thursday, we have Inside the Ice with Tim and Shane, and we have Behind the Basket with Elizabeth and the Hunter Man Gang himself. It's Hunter Mindy Gang himself. And the Whiskey Hour's going to bring it next week. We're excited to have him aboard. Austin, I know you're not used to this. Don't leave yet. As we wrap up, is he going to press the end button?